Okie dokie. This is a fun topic, I think. Hmm. Okay, so setting up your nutrition for hormone balance. This is something that I know a lot of people are interested in right now. Hormones are kind of going around as like the big hot topic, as they should be, I think. I think for a long time they were underrated and not really looked at as an important factor in your body composition, in your weight loss journey. So yeah, hopefully now there's a little bit more light shined on this topic, and we'll just kind of get into how it correlates with nutrition specifically. There's a lot of factors that go into your hormones, but of course, what you put in your body is a huge one. So, signs of potential hormonal issues: fatigue, low energy, digestive issues, struggling to lose weight, struggling to gain muscle, chronic inflammation, irritable, high stress, having a hard time sleeping, falling asleep, staying asleep, uh, things of that nature. Okay, so if any of these things kind of stick out to you, or you're like, damn, that one is really me, then this should be a pretty informative call, or just something to keep an eye on, because none of these things are normalized. I think feeling bloated and having bad digestion and not being able to lose weight, all of these things and just being stressed all the time, these have kind of become normalized in our society, and they shouldn't be. It's not normal, and these are red flags that our bodies are giving us to look within and make sure that internal health is up to par. So, of course, there's other factors, but the biggest influences on hormones are your workouts, your daily habits, if you're on any kind of birth control, high stress, and your nutrition. So, we at Frequency deal with all of these except for birth control. So, that's up to you, but your workouts, your daily habits, your stress management, when it comes to high stress and daily habits, those are kind of exchangeable, because your lifestyle overall basically is a mixture of those two things. Is your lifestyle extremely high stressed? Are your daily habits completely ignoring your internal state? So just your lifestyle overall, and then of course nutrition. So that's what I really love about us here at Frequency, is we focus on overall lifestyle. We're not just giving out macros and workouts. We're actually paying attention to the entire body as a whole. And these are the things that influence your hormones the most. So a lot of times people come to us thinking that they have extreme hormonal issues, and maybe they do. And instead of going on supplements or medications or doing like HRT or anything like that, we can just make some minor adjustments to their lifestyle, their nutrition, their workouts, and suddenly they're feeling brand new and amazing. So, nutrition and hormones. Let's get it. So, I had a client call the other day, and here's just to kind of paint you a picture, an example. She eats lots of fruits, lots of veggies. She has a little bit of protein. She kind of has the ick from meat, so I get that. But she gets very full easily, so she eats like every hour or so. Okay, so there's kind of the storyline for you. And one of the biggest reasons why we see hormonal issues in women, or digestive issues, is due to chronically under eating calories. So, those two things, eating lots of fruits and veggies, which obviously is amazing, but those are obviously low calorie, not having much protein, and eating every hour, these behaviors could be leading to some hormonal issues. Because evolutionarily, I guess, our body is designed for survival, right? Like that's the whole point of this whole damn thing. And if we have limited resources to food, our metabolism, which is what keeps us alive, again, that's the number one function of every system in your body, is really just to keep you alive. It'll go into survival mode and try to protect you. And this has just been a thing that's a thing in every animal. It doesn't change if you're, doing keto. It doesn't change if you're on steroids. It doesn't change if you're male or female. This is just like how it is, right? Our metabolism, our body is just trying to keep us alive. But if you're limiting the amount of resources or food and going into scarcity, your body's going to know that. And even though like our environment has changed so much, right? Since like caveman days, so much has progressed and changed. Our bodies really have not. Like maybe small things in like our bone structures, but our bodies have not changed. So chronically under eating. That is definitely a form of stress on our bodies. So know I have a lot of clients who maybe have, I feel like I'm just talking to Sydney this whole time, but this one isn't about you, but have like a wedding coming up, or, a big thing in their life coming up. And that's why they want to start coaching, right? Is they want to start looking really great. But then this thing inherently has a lot of stress built into it, or at the same time, you have a really stressful job or whatever it is. You have a lot of stress going on in your life. And at that same time, you also want to start dieting down. We're just adding another stressor on top of the body. So this is where it turns into, well, I'm not able to lose fat. I'm not able to gain muscle. I'm really just feeling inflamed all the time. This is when stress management is actually going to be the thing that changes your body. But anyway, so dieting, chronically under eating for too long is telling your brain, or your body, I guess, that there is limited resources and energy. Calories equal energy. Calories are energy, period. Less calories, less energy. And if your body has less energy, your body will then shut down unnecessary functions. Some unnecessary functions are hormones. A lot of our hormones, we do not need them to survive. They are not crucial or critical for our longevity. And those are especially the reproductive, or just the reproductive system as a whole, which are your sex hormones. So estrogen, testosterone, progesterone, things of that nature, which play a huge role in your body composition. Those are the things that are going to start slowing down because your body, and same with digestion. We don't need perfect, amazing digestion. Your body doesn't care if you're bloated. It cares if you're alive, right? And if you're limiting the resources, the amount of energy that you're putting into your body for all of your systems to run effectively, you're going to be bloated. You're not going to be able to lose body fat because that's not what's helping keep you alive. In fact, in that moment, having more body fat on you is what is going to keep you alive. Body fat is stored calories. So that, if somebody's put in the woods and to be on Survivor, people with more body fat on them are going to survive longer. Okay. So meal timing. This is something that isn't talked about very often. And, I know I kind of briefly talk about it, but it's not a huge focus for a lot of my nutritional advice, but it honestly should be, because I used to think it was all about calories in, calories out, which is CICO. If you've ever heard that term, that's what that means. Calories in versus calories out, right? A lot of people hear that. And at the end of the day, that does play a huge role in your body composition. But the state of your hormones also play a huge role in the state of your body composition. And when I say body composition, that means how much fat is on your body, how much muscle is on your body. What do you look like? And I think that's what's the most important to people, rather than how much do you weigh, right? So meal timing is important because that has a direct correlation with your glucose and insulin levels. So those are also hormones. This client that I was talking about previously, she said that she was eating every hour. So she was kind of like snacky and just eating little things here and there, was never like sitting down and having a full meal. That is going to keep your glucose levels high. So after you eat, that spikes your glucose. And when your glucose is spiked, therefore your insulin also goes up. So if we are eating every hour, snacking every hour, now we have a high glucose and high insulin all day, which after a period of time, that can lead to feeling super tired, low energy, and also being insulin resistant over time. So it's important to have larger meals and spread them out. Stick to an eating schedule as well. This is super important, especially for digestion, but just to regulate these hormones, glucose and insulin. So stick to an eating schedule so that your body is in a state to digest. And fun fact, between I think it's noon and 3 p.m., kind of right midday is when your digestion is at its absolute prime. So later on through the day, it just slows down a little bit, just getting your body ready for rest. Maybe that's, closer to when the sun starts to set, 7 p.m.-ish. So what do we do? Like I said, spread out your meals. So 4 to 6 meals per day, every 2 to 3 hours is a good rule of thumb. And if that sounds crazy right now to you, that is okay. Your body will adapt over time. I have been eating this way for a couple of years now, and it's like clockwork. Every 2.5 to 3 hours, I'm hungry. And that's good, to have a regulated eating system and to have actual meals rather than snacky. Definitely do not skip breakfast. That is huge for hormones. That's huge for how you feel throughout the rest of the day. It's huge for cravings and all of the things. So do not skip breakfast, and especially do not have coffee on an empty stomach. That's just going to ask for bloating, messing with your gut, messing with your entire like gut microbiome, as well as your adrenal levels. So your adrenal glands are also part of your endocrine hormonal system. And adrenals is what it eventually over time with having too much stress is what really gets shot. Adrenal glands and adrenal levels are so important because that's what, think about like adrenaline, right? It's what gets you up out of bed or gets you motivated or just like feel a burst of energy. And if over time we start messing with that because we're having either too much caffeine, not enough sleep, too much stress, coffee on an empty stomach, that is not one of those things you want to lose because it's really hard to reverse that and to gain energy as time goes on in your life. So well-balanced meals. When I say a well-balanced meal, that means a quality protein source. So not a protein bar, protein shake. When I say protein source, I want the first things that come to mind to be chicken, turkey, steak, tuna, salmon, okay, things like that. A fruit or a veggie, so think of something colorful, and then a complex carb source. When I say complex carb source, that means rice, potatoes, beans, things like that. A simple carb source would be like, sugars or whatever. So when you imagine a meal for those 4 to 6 meals that we plan on having per day, they should be set up with those 3 things: protein, fruit or veg, and then a carb source. Also very important to add fats into each meal, at least a little bit. I would say a good rule of thumb is to have like 10 to 15 grams of fat at each meal. These are things like adding olive oil or adding avocado or a side of nuts to your meal. But that's especially if the protein source that you're choosing is like a lean protein source. So I eat salmon all the time. You guys probably know that by now. And salmon itself is a fatty fish, which is why I like it, because it has so many nutrients as well as protein in it. So fattier protein sources could be like fattier beef, salmon, some forms of steak, things like that. So you definitely want to add a fat source if that's your protein source. So if you're having mainly just carbs or mainly just protein or something that's just not a full balanced meal, that's when, your glucose levels could be poorly affected. Good rule of thumb is 80% whole food sources, whole food meaning from the ground, no nutrition label, not man-made, not processed. And then lots of color too. I like to really try to eat the colors of the rainbow. And then when I go grocery shopping, maybe if I had blueberries last week, I'll go for oranges this week to try to, switch through the colors and things like that. And then also don't undereat. Woohoo. Okay. And that was my presentation. Yay. Thanks, guys. Anything that resonated, that you wanted to point out or anything at all?
I'm going to make a comment. I definitely agree with the snacking. I noticed that on days that I'm like sitting at the computer all day, I find myself eating all day or snacking, kind of like a mindless thing. And then I end up super bloated at the end of the day because I'm just constantly snacking throughout the day and not really letting my stomach process any of the food. So that is such a good rule of thumb and something for even me to remember to like really. And I've been trying to eat with chopsticks, which is kind of silly, but it helps me slow down. Obviously, you can't eat everything with chopsticks. And if you get down to the rice, it gets a little annoying. But it's kind of like a fun thing that I've been doing with myself lately to kind of just like slow down.
Cute. I love that. I need to try that chopstick tip.
I have some cute ones off Amazon. I can send you the link.
Cute. Yes, post it in the Discord.
Okay.
Love that. Anybody else?
For me, it was the drinking coffee on an empty stomach. But you actually said it in a call like a couple of weeks ago, or maybe like last week. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, I love to get up in the morning, have a cup of coffee, then walk my dog. And so I was like, I haven't ever like paid attention to like, oh, am I bloated? But every check in, I'm like, I'm bloated. I feel so bloated. So this week, I've been having a little something before my coffee. And I don't really know if I feel different or not, but I'm going with it.
Yeah, good. So Coffee on an empty stomach wouldn't necessarily cause bloating, but it could just cause dysbiosis in the gut in general. So like the lining in your gut. So bloating and like gut issues could be two different things. Yeah, so like over time, I would say pay attention to that over time. Maybe eventually then bloating gets better just because your gut microbiome is stronger and things like that. But just it's acid, and our stomach has acid. So then it's acid on acid, which is like if that paints a picture, what's going on. So yeah, water beforehand, but ideally food as well. So yeah, this will be a fun thing to keep track of. Mm-hmm. Anybody else? I feel like Miss Katie wants to say something.
Just about the high stress situations and like hormones and stuff. My job has obviously, well, not changed in the last 3 years. And it is a high stress job, and I've only added to my plate with like going back to school and doing all that stuff. But since like really hitting the ground with like my health and fitness, I've never felt less stressed in my entire life, honestly. Like I've only ever added to my plate, like getting my graduate degree, doing all this stuff, and making sure that I still make time. Like the work will be there tomorrow. And so like making sure I'm going to do my hour workout no matter what, all of this will still be there. And now I like look at my stuff to do. I'm like, whatever. I mean, it's like, it's there and it'll still be there, but we won't be here forever. So, somehow I feel like less stressed. I'm chilling, even with all this stuff going on. So I definitely think and like a hormone adjustment compared to like how anxious and stressed and just overwhelmed I always used to feel like all day long. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for sharing that. And yeah, I could make a whole call about that. That it's been proven time and time again that exercise is the most powerful antidepressant and anti-anxiety medication there is, like, period. So that's awesome that you're feeling the effects. And yeah, you're not going to show up for work amazing if you're not taking care of yourself first. So love that. Good stuff. All right, guys. Well, make sure you take some kind of picture. Maybe we should post just in case you didn't. Tag me, Sheena Frequency, and then we'll choose a winner. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3.
When?
Oh, wait, everyone turn your cameras on if you can.
Okay. Oh, I got everyone in mine had their camera on. I don't know if that matters.
Okay. All right. I think we're good then. Cool.
Okay.
All righty. Well, love y'all. See you next week. Bye. Thanks for showing up.